Hey everyone! Today we'll be reviewing a common interview question related to execution for both product specialist and product manager roles and how to best approach it. The question is, let's say you are a product specialist at Google working on the ads team, and one day you look at your dashboards and see a recent spike in advertiser complaints. What steps should you take to find out what's going on? Now, this is an interview question I have been asked in the past many times, and also a request from one of our viewers, so thank you so much for submitting this question. In the next few minutes, I will share with you a detailed response and walk you through how I would approach this question to help you prepare for your interviews. Let's jump right in. The first step I would take is to restate the prompt to the interviewer. This is to show that you are a good listener and that you have a good understanding of the task at hand. Alright, so let's say I'm part of the product specialist team at Google working on ads, and we noticed recently that there has been an increase in complaints. This is not a good sign, so we need to better understand what the complaints are about and then create a plan to address them. The second step is to start by confirming that the data can be trusted with your data team. Before we put together a plan, the first thing I would like to focus on is checking that the complaints data I'm reviewing in the dashboards can be trusted, and that there hasn't been any recent changes that may have impacted the data sources. The tactical steps I would take next would be to reach out to the data team, provide them with the context of the recent spike in complaints, and ask them. Number 1, have there been any recent changes to the data sources or queries for the complaints dashboard? Number 2, if there haven't been any recent changes there, are there any known issues with the way we are logging the complaints data? This is really to ensure that there is indeed a spike and not an internal issue or bug impacting the data. And number 3, I would like to check historical trends to confirm if the recent increase in complaints is seasonal, meaning have we seen this increase in complaints in the past, say last quarter or last year around the same time, or is this really a new trend? This is important to know because if the rising complaints is indeed seasonal, let's say that Google tends to get complaints during the Super Bowl or during the holiday season in December, as these are peak times when advertisers look to launch most of their advertising campaigns, then this may not be a new trend. And so if that's the case, then this is not as critical or high a priority for the team to focus on addressing those complaints. The third step is to review a sample of complaints to really understand what the complaints are about. This usually is called a complaints deep dive. Now that we have confirmed that the data can be trusted with the data team and that there are no known issues with the complaints dashboard, we should work on investigating what may be causing the spike. To do this, I would recommend reviewing a sample of the recent complaints that have been filed to start identifying common themes. To get the sample complaints, I will query our complaints data table. Then I would export the results into an Excel file or Google Sheets. And to keep things organized, I will add a column in the sheet to include my notes after reviewing each complaint. And once you review, say 10 or 15 complaints, you may start to see patterns or recurring themes that you can then start tagging the complaints into categories or types of complaints. For example, let's say that the first 2 complaints were about ads rendering without sound. So that may be one category. And then say another 5 complaints are related to ad videos appearing blurry. That will be another category. Now, these categories will come in handy so that you can put together charts to showcase your findings and insights to the team, clearly highlighting what the majority of the complaints were about. This could be bar charts or pie charts. And if you have additional time and resources, you can work with your team to review additional complaints or go through all of the complaints and categorize them. As you review the complaints, I would recommend answering the following questions. Number 1, are these new types of complaints or existing complaints we have seen in the past? Number 2, are the complaints related to a specific issue or bug, or are they related to feedback, like new feature requests or enhancements to improve the advertiser experience on the platform? One pro tip here is you can add an additional column where you can track whether a specific complaint is related to a bug or not a bug. And lastly, number 3, who is filing the complaints? Are these big advertisers, say like Disney or Amazon, or small businesses? Or is it both? This will help the team understand the priority of addressing the complaints, as Google and competitors like Meta may focus more resources on prioritizing issues that impact accounts with higher ad spend, as those accounts bring them more revenue than smaller accounts. And the fourth and final step is to share the findings from the complaints deep dive with the product and engineering teams, and also provide recommendations that the team can take to address the complaints. So now that I completed the complaints deep dive and I know what the majority of the tickets are about, as a product specialist at Google, I will recommend putting together a slide and a summary to share my findings with the product team and other stakeholders. so they can also know what the rising complaint is all about, what specific trends advertisers may be unhappy about, and what actions we need to take. For example, if we see that 80% of the complaints reviewed are related to a specific issue regarding ads rendering without sound, I would check with the engineering team to see if this is a new issue and file a bug ticket to be investigated and fixed, or confirm, if this is a known issue that the team is already prioritizing and working on. Now, if the majority of the complaints are related to customers being confused about their ad metrics or billing, it may be helpful to explore adding tooltips in the experience or create help center articles to provide more information to advertisers and help them self-serve. And to wrap up, make sure that you also provide a summary back to your interviewer on the steps that you would take. So you can say something like, to summarize, as a product specialist at Google on the ads team, there's 3 key steps I would take to understand what is causing the increase in complaints. Number 1, I would start by working with the data team to understand if there have been any recent changes to the data in the complaints dashboard and make sure that I can trust the data. Number 2, I will query our complaints data table and do a complaints deep dive to really understand what the complaints are about. And lastly, number 3, I would package together the findings from the complaints deep dive and put together a deck and a summary to the team with recommendations on how we can address those complaints. All right, there you have it. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you found this helpful. And if you have an upcoming interview, I wish you the best of luck. You got this. If you are interviewing or looking to transition into a product specialist or product manager role, make sure to check out our other videos. Have a great rest of your day.